Awesome. Well, I wish you luck in your travels, but
Thank
on
you. Thank you.
that note, I think we are all good to go ahead and get started. I see we've
Awesome.
got some people who have joined and are able to see us. We are, again, not able to see them, but they can see and hear us. We will allow everybody into the room, the Zoom room, once we get to the Q&A portion of the webinar. If you have any questions throughout Courtney's presentation, feel free to write them into the Q&A or the chat feature, and we'll be sure to get to them. Or when we get to the Q&A and we allow you into the room, you can unmute yourself, you can turn your camera on, you can ask them real time if you prefer that as well. So either way is fine. We will record the session and we will upload it to our YouTube. We will send it out to all of the attendees, so you will get the recording soon after um, the webinar is finished, probably next week. Um, we will also share the presentation slides with everybody if you so please. Typically, we have our in-country rep join us. Unfortunately, we do not have our in-country rep joining us today, so it'll just be Courtney and I, but we are so happy to be here with you all today. And if there's any questions that you have regarding LATAM specifically, I'm happy to put you in contact with the right person, the right staff at Wellspring who can answer those questions for you. So I think that's everything I had to say. And with that, I will hand it over to Courtney and she'll get started with her presentation. And then, like I said, we'll do a Q&A at the end and you'll have time to ask and have any questions answered.
Thank you so much, Darby, for that introduction, and thank you everyone who's joining us today, especially on a Friday. So I appreciate you greatly for being here and making time to learn more about Texas State University. To give you a little introduction, like Darby mentioned, my name is Courtney. So I am the Director of International Marketing and Recruitment at Texas State. So all recruitment efforts, marketing, anything to guide and help you and also your students have a great experience at Texas State is why I'm here. To get things started, so you can see what it'll be like if your students want to come to Texas State, I do have a video to play. I don't know if there'll be sound, to be honest, but there's no one that's talking in the presentation, it's just music. So the main thing is the information on the screen. So I'll go ahead and get that started. Well, so that is just a little glimpse of what your students will experience. I'm sorry for my internet. The wind is just crazy outside, so I'm sure that's why the video was having glitches. But when you have the PowerPoint from Darby, it will run smoothly, and there's also fun pump up music to it. Now, more about where we're located. Our main campus is in the city of San Marcos. So from the PowerPoint here, you can see we are located between San Antonio and Austin, Texas, which are two very large cities. So if your students want to do something on the weekend, just to change scenery, then they can go to one of those cities. Most of your students, well, probably all of them, will experience Austin because they do have to fly internationally into the Austin airport, and then they have a shuttle that your students can take to come down to San Marcos to our main campus. Within our community, we currently have around 70,000 people, which is large, but it's also small enough where your students are able to make connections within the community. 70,000 of our population is 38,000 students. So on our campus, we have 38,000 on-campus students. 1,000 of them are international. I personally enjoy this because it makes the community very fun, diverse, and young. So your students will be able to have a great time in coffee shops and restaurants and always have that fun atmosphere in the city of San Marcos. Now we do have a second campus. So I'm sure from the slide, you can see that there's a big red bubble that says Round Rock. Round Rock is where our second campus is located. Now your students, depending on the program that they choose, they can choose whether to go to the San Marcos or Round Rock campus. Now, not every program has that option, but when you do go to our program degree page, which I will show you guys in a little bit because I have it pulled up, it will be in parentheses that says San Marcos or Round Rock campus. From that, if they do have both listings, then that means your student can choose if he or she wants to go to one or the other. In parentheses, if it just says San Marcos campus, that means that's the only campus they can come to. But nothing wrong with either campus. They're both beautiful. They're both large. Just depending on the program is where we are located. Now, more about our institution. We are a public student research centered institution. We are over 100 years old, and we originally founded as a teachers college. Something exciting and a little fun fact as well mixed together is that we are the only institution in Texas to graduate a United States president, which that is his statue, that picture right there, in his honor. To tie in with that, we are hosting the U.S. presidential debate this year. So we're very excited to welcome potential U.S. presidents onto our campus where they will have that large debate taking place. So we are very excited to be the institution to host them. Now, more with this statue, you can see that his hand is turned out like this. On our campus, we have a superstition that if you need good luck, you need to shake the president's hand. So after many years, including myself, I've went and shaked his hand. His fingertips are now gold, just from all the years of everyone going and shaking his hand. Like I mentioned earlier, we do have 1,000 international, a little bit over 1,000 international students on our campus from 85 different countries. So we have a very large population of students from all different walks of life and all over the world. Texas is a very big bilingual speaking state. So I know Darby mentioned we have individuals from Latin America on the call. And so your students will be able to speak in both languages. Within our international student and scholars office, everyone except probably two people speak Spanish. So your students, if they have any inquiry, and if speaking Spanish makes them feel more comfortable, we are happy to assist them in either way. Now, outside of that, we do have 200 program offerings. I did not put them on a slide just because there's so many programs and you'll probably be tired of my voice for me reading all of them. But I do have links that I will share with you so that way you are able to access them. And we do have ranked degrees. So if you have students and or parents who want ranked degrees when going to an institution, we have a full article listed here for you to share. Now, I know your students probably can't come to our campus to do a campus tour, but we hope to welcome not only your students, but you as well, if you ever want to come see the institution in person. And from the bottom left-hand picture, you can see just how big our institution is. So everything all the way to that little white tower in the background, that is all Texas State. So we own all the buildings, we own the river, we own, yeah, all of that. So your students are in a very safe environment. We have our own police department on our campus. so students have access if they need it 24/7. But yeah, so it is a little community, and the downtown is just one street. So your students can walk from the campus, walk down one street, and they're now in downtown. So it's nice that it is combined with our university to make it easier for them to go to one area of the community to the campus. Now, something that's fun is we have a bunch of traditions. So in the United States, it is very popular to have not only a theme, as well as different colors, but hand signals, which I will get into in just a minute. Our mascot is a bobcat, and his name is Boko. You can see him wearing our colors, which are gold on his shoulder, and then a maroon, like reddish color from the background on the slide here. And you will see commonly that students do hand signals to represent this. So what I mean is at the bottom picture, the girl is doing this. So she is doing a bobcat claw, basically to say, go Bobcats. Now her other hand is supposed to be the shape of Texas. So if you go to the United States map and type in Texas, the shape should be like this. I think in the camera, it will be reflected, so it should be right. But that's what she's symbolizing is, yes, I'm proud to be a Texas, and also go Bobcats. Now, from the video earlier, you probably saw a bunch of students jumping into the water and thought, what is going on? At Texas State, to celebrate, students jump into the river with their family, their friends, professors, anyone who's inspired them to go to Texas State and or help them complete their studies. And that is kind of like ending their chapter at Texas State. Your students do not have to jump in the water if they do not want to, but it is a fun celebration to at least go watch. Now, having 38,000 students, you can only imagine we want to keep them active. We want to keep them busy and have a fun atmosphere and love being on our campus. We right now have a 94% retention rate. So that can just show you with our students, they never want to leave. They want to be on campus and explore everything that we have to offer. So just to name a few points from this slide, we did open a new state-of-the-art student center. So in our picture right there, you can see a big glass building with a gold star. That is our student center that has a bookstore, information desks, student services, as well as 6 stories high. So it is very tall, and it's full of support and also food court offerings for your students. So if they go somewhere to eat, this is probably where they'll go. We offer both indoor and outdoor activities that are free. So your students do not have to pay to do rock wall climbing or kayaking. Everything is free to them. We have an indoor gymnasium where they can do basketball, volleyball. There's so many opportunities for them. We're encouraging them to be active, not only inside, but also outside in our community. And lastly, I know your students are probably concerned about getting around, like with a car. In the United States, it is very common to have a vehicle, but the great thing that we do provide for your students is a shuttle. This shuttle service is also free. So your students can walk up to that shuttle in the bottom left-hand picture with the eyes, and walk on it. They don't need an ID or anything. Prior to that, there are maps that are downloadable on our website, which I'm happy to share. And your students can follow that map that will either lead them throughout the campus or other parts of San Marcos. So it goes into both the community and also on our campus. Your students are also able to rent bikes. So if your students like to, again, be physically active, our campus is very large. So for me, I wouldn't last very long on a bike, but they can rent those on our campus as well. So that could be a great alternative. Now, when it comes to living accommodations, we have 25 different apartments on our campus. I don't have them listed on here just because there are so many, and each of them are very, very different. We want your student to choose a place to live that makes them feel the most comfortable. So we have apartment styles where the student can have one roommate, like in the picture there, all the way up to 3 roommates. So they can have a very large apartment or very small, and the cost will depend on if they are paying for 1 roommate or 4 roommates and how that cost is divided. But I did want to share with you what your student will experience, which are the steps right here, when they choose housing on our campus. Please keep in mind for first-time freshmen. So if your student is going to university for the first time, they do have to live on campus. We want your student to be connected. We want them to have support services very quickly if needed. So that is why for first-time freshmen, they must live on campus. For any student that is older or a master's student all the way up to PhD, they can live off campus. But I personally love living on campus all 4 years I was in college. So if they want to live on campus, that is an option for them too, whatever they prefer. Now back to the steps here, your student will get, once they get the acceptance letter, they will also get a link in their email that says, hey, it's time for you to now sign up for housing. Your student will then be able to log into their student portal, which is a housing portal now, and be able to look at all 25 options. They will be able to see the cost, they'll be able to see roommates, so they will get to choose which one they would like. Now, when they decide which place they want to live, it will then ask them to provide $300 as a deposit. Once they pay that, they will then get an automatic room assignment in the apartment complex that they chose, as well as a meal plan. So they'll say, hey, here's your room number. Now you need to choose your meal plan. So they have different options for meals. Your student does not have to select a meal plan if they do not want to. We actually have apartments with kitchens. So if your student prefers cooking, that's great. I'm not a good cook, so I would definitely need a meal plan, but there are two different options for them to choose from in their housing contract. Now, having 38,000 students, we want them to be the most successful. We want your students to feel comfortable, prepared, there we go, to have a really great opportunity in the future. So these are just to name some of the few services that we offer. We have 15 plus in-person job fairs. So your students can go and practice. They can go actually look for an OPT, CPT, a job opportunity after college. So we have so many career fairs, which I thought was really amazing when I came to Texas State. We offer free resume reviews and cover letter writing. So all of these services are free. And I stress free a lot because a lot of students think they have to pay for these services, and that's not true. So I did want, that's why I say that so often. But outside of that, we do have a career closet. When I was in college, I did not have business clothes to go get an interview because I never had to wear them. So at Texas State, we have our own career closet where men and women can go rent a tux or dresses, pants, go to the interview and turn the clothes back in when they're finished. So this is a great opportunity for your students to not have to go out and buy very expensive tux or dresses. They can borrow these clothes for their interview and just bring them back when they're done. Our recent graduates have gone off to do really amazing things. As you can see, they've gone to Amazon, Tesla, and Salesforce, just to name a few. And I cannot wait to see where your students are going to end up as well. Now, I know I mentioned I was not going to read through all 200 programs, but I did want to provide you the colleges. So within the 200 programs, they all fall under these academic colleges. The only college that gets a little bit confusing from the list is the College of Applied Arts. So for the College of Applied Arts, it does have a mixture of programs that include military sciences, organizational leadership, social work. So you can see agriculture. So you can see they're all very different. So if your student is not able to find a program, I highly encourage them to look under the College of Applied Arts, as it's probably housed under there. Now, all of our programs can be found on our main page. I will go ahead and put those in the links for you. So that way, if you wanted to go ahead and check them out while I am going over the information, you are more than welcome to. So let me go ahead and put, there's our grad programs there. I already had them saved, but it looks like I accidentally closed the pages a minute ago when the Wi-Fi was being crazy. And here are our undergrad programs. So you can look at those whenever you have time. So additionally, we do have an Excel on our webpage that offers a full list of these programs that are combined, and they highlight the programs in green that are STEM designated. So you probably have a lot of students that ask you, hey, which programs are STEM? So science, technology, engineering, math. Well, that will allow me to stay in the United States to work a little bit longer. Now, we do have this Excel available 24/7 on our website. You're able to download it as many times as you want to because it's conditionally updated all the time. So personally, I download it in spring, summer, and fall. So before I begin recruitment or guiding students, I have the latest and updatest, I don't think that's a word, the most update Excel. Now, I know this might be an attractive program for students within your territories, but right now we do not have an active English language program. Now we are looking to launch one in spring 2025. So this is something to get excited about for your students who want to come to Texas State, get more comfortable speaking English, especially when it comes to classes. We want them to be at their absolute best so that they're comfortable. But outside of that, we are having a summer English language program launch this June. So I'm happy to send Darby information regarding this once it's officially posted and officially announced, I should say. But yeah, if this is of interest for you, or do you think your students would enjoy taking an English language program, please let Darby know, and that way she can reach out to me and I'll give her all the information. But an in-person program is just not available at this time until spring 2025. Now we're going to get into the more detailed information here. This is the undergrad student process. So luckily for you guys, you get to go through the Wellspring portal. The application in there connects directly with our application, so it makes it a lot easier for the student. They do have to pay a $90 application fee. There are no waivers or no reasoning they can't get this waived. And what I mean by that is I have students email me all the time saying, hey, like, can I have a waiver? Or, hey, is there a way I can't pay it or get a refund? We do not offer that. So please make sure your student is 100% dedicated before making that payment, because once they do, it is non-refundable. The process for them is very simple, and I assume through the Wellspring portal, everything is listed out for them. So your students will provide a high school transcript from your country, and they can upload it in their student portal. So we'll be able to go in, download it, review it, calculate their GPA in-house. Your students do not have to send off their GPA to a third-party provider like West Accreditation, for example, to be evaluated. I know that gets a little expensive, but at Texas State, we do everything in-house, and it's free for the student. They don't have to pay anything extra outside of the $90 application fee. So please just upload your students' transcripts and we'll take care of the rest for them. Now, when it comes to the SAT scores, this is not required for admission. So if your student has a high enough GPA, which I will get to in the next slide, they do not have to provide an SAT score and they can be admitted to Texas State. Now, as long as your student has a complete profile, so say your student uploads everything, there's nothing missing, they're good to go. They will receive a decision in 2 to 4 weeks. Most of the time, I've seen students get an answer in 2 weeks, but I do like to provide that flexibility, especially in our busy season, like fall 2024 is coming up. That's a really busy time for us. So they might look at the 4-week mark. Now, this part gets a little tricky. Texas State is a little bit different when it comes to admitting undergraduate freshman students. So your students are actually admitted based on ranking. If your student goes to our website to look for a GPA, for example, it's not there. The only thing your student sees is this big white chart. So as a partner, we do like to provide you with the GPA scale. We do not share the GPA scale with students because, as you can imagine, they will try to calculate their GPA on their own, and we definitely don't want something to happen where they calculate it, it's incorrect, everything that could happen. But as a partner, I do want to show you how we on our side calculate it so that you're comfortable when guiding the student through the process. So for Texas State, if your student has a 3.16 or above, we use a 4-point scale, then your student will be in the top 25% of their class. They do not have to provide an ACT or SAT score. If your student is below that, so if their GPA is below a 3.16, then they will have to provide an SAT or ACT score. The good thing is we will always be very transparent with your student. We will tell them, hey, it looks like your GPA is a 2.5 out of 4 after we do calculations. You now need to take the ACT or SAT and upload it into your student portal. So your student will get all that information from us. You don't have to worry about telling them or calculating their GPA. We will handle that for you, but we will definitely keep you updated. So that way, if a student does reach out to you, you are familiar with what's going on. Now for English at the very bottom, you can see we accept the most popular: TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, and PTE. And we have a list of exempt countries. In Latin America, honestly, at the top of my head, I do not think we have an area which we waive the English, but we do have a very, very large amount of countries that are waived depending on where they're located. So please take time to look at that link in case you do represent a country that could possibly be on that list. Now, when it comes to undergraduate transfer students, we do calculate by GPA. So we're back to GPA. So, excuse me. If your students have taken university credit already, what we will do is look at their transcript. We will tell the student, hey, after reviewing your transcript, this is how many credits will transfer. Based on that, they will then know what their GPA needs to be. So we will say, hey, it looks like we'll say 10 credit hours are able to be transferred. This is the GPA you need to meet after we calculate your transcript. So your student will know, what their GPA is, number one, and number two, how many credits will be transferring to Texas State once they upload their transcript for us to review. The English is the exact same, so that makes it easier. The application fee is the same. So everything is the same for undergrad transfer and oh, why is it saying play music? Undergraduate transfer and undergraduate freshman, but the only difference is the transferable credit hours. Now, when it comes to admission deadlines, summer is about to end very, very soon. Our summer applications end March 1st. So we have 3 intakes here in the United States. We have spring, which is January to May. We have summer, which is June and July. And then we have fall, which is August through December. So your students, if they're undergraduate students, they're more than welcome to apply anytime they want to. They can do spring, summer, or fall. Now with graduate programs, some graduate programs do not allow students to apply for spring or for summer. Sometimes they only have 1 intake. So what I'm going to show or do, I'm going to show you my screen. I'm going to switch screens for a second. So you can see how to find this information. Oh, hello. So I'm going to stop sharing here and I'm going to go to. So now I'm on the graduate program webpage just so that I'm a learner when I'm like looking at things. So I feel like it'll make it easier. So to find out if a graduate program is offered in the summer or offered for spring for your international students, I'm going to do a popular one and do the MBA. So I'm going to click Business Administration and click Review Admission Requirement. Oh, nope, no, I'm not. I lied. I'm going to scroll down and find application deadlines. There it is. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. So every graduate program webpage looks the exact same. So if I went to our teaching program right now, the webpage looks exactly the same and they all have their own application deadline section. So if I'm looking at the MBA, there is an international box right here. So we can see, okay, they only accept students for fall and spring. They do not accept summer students. So this is very important to share with your students. And the great thing is, like I said, this is available on every graduate program webpage. So if your student doesn't know, you can send them this link. So we can see for fall 2024, they are allowing standardized international students to come June 1st. While January 15th was a priority for them, they are flexible in allowing students to come till June 1st now. So that's kind of how you would distinguish if the programs offer spring, summer, or fall, and as well as the deadlines for those students. So now switching back to the PowerPoint. With deferrals, at the very bottom, you can see I put stars because it's super important, this information. Our admissions team is very strict when it comes to deferrals. Even for you guys, for me, for the student, it makes it a lot easier if they don't defer so many times just because we have to move everything over. And so with that, our admissions team has made a very strict rule where for undergraduate students, they can only defer 1 time. And once they defer, they will have to pay $90 again and reapply. So to put this into an example, if your student is coming for fall 2024 and they say, hey, I didn't get a visa interview slot, I need to defer to spring 2025. That's perfect. That's their 1 deferral. So we defer them to spring 2025, no extra cost. Now your student, we can say now it's January or about to be January 2025. And your student says, hey, I don't have my passport. I need to defer to summer 2025. Well, now that counts as us moving their application twice. And now they have to pay the $90 application fee and reapply. So we definitely don't want this to happen to your students, but sometimes with the visa consulate, it's just, you never know. But hopefully, as long as your student has that admissions email, I have been encouraging students to not book a visa appointment before they're admitted. It's been happening a little bit more often, and we want your students to be able to not have to do that deferral. We want them to be able to have the acceptance, have the information, and then set up their visa interview appointment. Now with graduate students, they have 2 deferrals instead of 1. So your graduate student could do that example and defer to summer and be okay. But after that, then they would also have to pay the $90 and reapply as well. I'm not sure why this little black thing's in the way. There we go. So with the graduate process, I know this slide looks very overwhelming, but I promise the graduate or master's process is very simple for them. All they have to do is go into the Wellspring portal, the exact same as undergrad. And the reason why they have different fees is because if you are helping like an exchange student, for example, or non-degree seeking, they will pay $55 for their application fee. For master's students, it is $90, so it is the exact same as undergrad. And for doctoral students, they will pay $115. So we do offer doctorate programs at Texas State. Now for your graduate students, we do accept a 3-year bachelor's. I do not know if this is common in Latin America, but I did want to go ahead and inform you if you do have a student that went to a college that did a 3 years program, we do accept those. Typically your student is looking at a 2.5, 2.75 out of 4, but this can also vary on the departments. So what's really important is for you to go to that webpage I was just on, and you will be able to see if the GPA is the 2.75 or if they need to have a little bit higher. So luckily, each graduate program page lists it in bold. This is what they need to have. Now, the same for graduate. They do not have to send off their transcripts to be evaluated. We do everything in-house for them. The English requirements are the same offering. So TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, PTE. The only thing that's a little bit different is that they do require letters of recommendation, statement of purpose, and resume. Every department is different. I'm going to show you again. We're going to bounce back to the grad page. So hopefully you're on the graduate page with me right now. So if I'm at the very top right here where it says business administration, I will click review admission requirements, and it'll shoot me all the way down to the bottom. And now we have this beautiful layout where I can see, okay, so test scores. I'll click test scores. Is a GRE or GMAT required? Yes. What will happen in fall? So for the GPA, here's the GPA that I was referring to earlier. So I definitely wanted to share this section with you. So if you do have questions on where the GPA or additional documents are needed, so this will list, yes, they need a resume, they need 2 letters of recommendation, and also they have to write 2 essays. But this is just specifically for business. So you can keep that in mind when guiding your students. So I think it should have bounced back to, oopsies, let me stop sharing for a minute. It was like, let's keep both pages. There we go. So now we should be back to, oh, yeah. Can you all see the PowerPoint? Is it back to the PowerPoint? I think so. Maybe so. Hey, Darby, can you see the PowerPoint?
Yep, it looks good. I can see the
Beautiful.
PowerPoint.
Thank you. I was bouncing back and forth a lot, so I wanted to make sure. So now when it comes to your graduate students, the process does vary, but I do like to tell students they're looking at around 6 weeks for a decision. So with our undergrad students, they were looking at 2 to 4. Our grad are looking at 6. Now for the immigration process for your undergraduate students, they will receive an email once they're admitted that says, hey, it's now time for you to request your I-20. If your student never clicks that link, our immigration team will never send them their I-20 because your student never asked for it. So it is very important that your student clicks that email, uploads their bank statement and passport per the instructions that they'll receive. Once they submit it, our immigration team will have their I-20 in 48 hours. So it is a very quick turnaround time for that I-20, and it will be sent to the student's email so they can print it and have it for their visa interview. Now, when it comes to your graduate students, they have a lot easier process. The reason why they are different for admissions and immigration is that our grad and undergrad departments are 2 separate departments. So that's why it's this way. But for your graduate students, they will upload everything during their admissions process. So their transcripts, English, bank statements, passports, everything. And our immigration team will send them their I-20 in 5 business days once they're admitted. So your students don't have to do anything. They just wait for our immigration team to send them an email with their I-20. Undergrad just gets a little tricky where they actually have to request it. Now with our cost, we do have the tuition and fee rates provided here. So for your undergraduate students, typically they will take 15 credit hours, which is 5 courses. So they'll take 5 courses in spring, 5 courses in fall, and typically they're looking at taking 10 courses a year. And this will be around 25,000 US dollars, not including scholarships, which I'll get to on the next page. And graduate students are looking at around $16,000. Commonly, students in the US take only 9 credit hours if they're graduate students. So you can see in the slide where it says what students most commonly take. So your graduate student will take 3 courses in spring, 3 courses in fall, and make 6 courses for the year, just because their classes are more intense. And so we do want them to focus and be able to succeed with not overwhelming them with a lot of really hard courses. Now, when it comes to extra cost, I'm sure your students will ask you, how much is it to go out to eat? How much is it, I don't know, groceries, books? So we did a survey to all domestic and international students at Texas State, and these are the average cost. Now, if your student is super frugal and, cooks at home, buys used books instead of brand new books, we can say, what else? You know what I mean? Very frugal, kind of being able to save money. This cost can change for them. But I know I do get this question a lot, and I'm sure you do too. So it is good just to have a rough estimate on what they could spend outside within the community. Now, when it comes to scholarships, this could be very attractive, especially for the Latin American market. We have additional scholarships that are aimed throughout Latin America. So I'll go over a few additional scholarships that I don't usually cover in this section. So for the scholarships, we'll start with graduate because they're the easiest. We do not have masters. We do have master programs. We do not have scholarships right now for graduate students. What your graduate students can do is apply for a graduate assistantship, and this allows them to work in a department, get a stipend from the department that will cover their tuition. So that stipend will connect to their student account, deduct from their tuition, and that is how they are able to get, in quotation, a scholarship. But the great thing is they're getting work experience too that they can add to their resume. So what your student would do if they're interested in that, they'll receive information saying, hey, you've been admitted. And we actually have an employment portal for students. So your students can only access that if they're admitted, and then they'll be able to see which departments have opportunities for grad assistantships. Your student is more than welcome to email the department and say, hey, I've been admitted for fall 2024. Do you have a grad assistantship opening? This is my major, etc. So they can have those conversations with them. And then once they have secured the job, then they'll be able to arrive and begin working with the department right away. Now, to get into the bachelor's, we have a lot of scholarship opportunities for them. I'll start with the bottom 2 points just because I don't typically cover them because they are aimed for the Americas. So citizens of Mexico, both undergrad and graduate students, can be eligible to receive in-state tuition. So if you work with students from Mexico, then this could be I can't speak anymore, a very attractive scholarship for them and an opportunity. I do have the links that I'll be happy to provide you because it does go into more intense criteria and instruction. But again, if you are covering this area, this could be really beneficial for those students. Also, at the very bottom point, citizens of countries in the Americas could also be eligible to receive in-state. So it's the same as the Mexico Citizens of Mexico Scholarship, which we call TAMS. They are able to receive in-state tuition as well. So we have the Good Neighbor Scholarship is what it's called. So those two are only based for students within the Americas. So really take time to look at that. I will have the links, like I mentioned, available for you that goes really deep in detail about the scholarships. So that could be a really great additional opportunity for your students that's not offered right now for other parts of the world. But now going back to more generic undergrad scholarships, the top 2 bullet points are for freshmen and transfer students. For your transfer students, they have a little bit more criteria, so they do have to have a 3.25 out of 4 to receive a scholarship through Texas State. But if they do meet that criteria and have at least taken 30 credit hours, then they're able to receive a scholarship that could be up to $8,000 US. For your freshman students, depending on if they submit an SAT score or not, they will get put into a portal. So if your student turns in their SAT, they will go into this portal with these scholarship offerings. If your student does not upload an SAT, that's okay. They just go into this portal with scholarships. So either way, your student will have the opportunity to apply for scholarships. They are just different depending on if they provide an SAT or not. The one that will also probably be the most attractive for your students is our $1,000 or more scholarship. So from the 5th bullet point, you can see all undergraduate students who receive a scholarship of $1,000 US or more will be able to be qualified to be counted as an in-state student, which will cut their tuition in half. So similar to the bottom 2 bullet points where it says they would be counted as in-state students, their tuition would now be from $25,000. Cut that in half. What is that? 12,500. I'm not good at math, so don't hold that against me. But your students will get that rate. So those scholarships can be very attractive for your students. Now, I am very transparent. I don't tell students they're going to get a scholarship just because you never know, especially with the competitiveness, but it is always an option and an opportunity. So I highly encourage your students to apply to as many as they can. Once your student gets a scholarship, they'll get an email that says, congrats, this is the scholarship you're awarded. Please click accept. So once your student accepts it, they can get excited knowing that they have it and it will be counted on their student account. And I do have additional links here. I do see those 2 at the bottom I mentioned are not in here. So I will add those and send them to Darby so she can share them with you. Well, actually, I could just put it in the chat right now. So I can do that instead because that was the last slide I had. And I definitely want to be sure that you guys have those links as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for letting me talk a little bit about Texas State. I know it's a lot of information, especially in a short amount of time, but I would love to open up the floor for questions that Darby and I could help answer, whether it's Wellspring questions or Texas State questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Courtney. I will begin letting everybody in. So you'll see now that you are in the room with Courtney and I. If you would like to unmute yourself and ask the question real time, feel free. If you'd rather write it into the chat or the Q&A, that's fine too.
So here is the Good Neighbor Scholarship link I put in the chat for everyone. And it also lists the eligible countries, which is a very long list. So hopefully your country is represented in that long list there. I see a few people have unmuted themselves, so maybe we have some questions. And I wanted to provide the TAMS scholarship here. The tuition assistance. So TAMS represents tuition assistance for Mexico students, is what that means. So that will be here. So yeah, you'll have those additional links that are currently not on the PowerPoint, but it could be really good for you to save for your market that you are assisting.
All right, any questions from any of our agents here today? Oh, yep, we got one in the
Oh my goodness, Carmen, I'm
chat.
so happy you asked that question. I love IB, so thank you so much. You've made my day now. So at Texas State, we do accept IB credit. So if you work with international baccalaureate high schools throughout your countries, we accept them. I'm glad you said that because we do have a designated page that shows all of the classes that we accept that will transfer and be counted as credit at Texas State. So this could be a really great opportunity for your IB students to already have experience and possibly credit before they come to our institution. So let me go ahead and also provide that. Texas State. So that way you can see a chart that lists all of the classes like I was referring to, and you can view that. Oopsies, click the wrong one. Yes. So here's this here. So really for IB students, you can see the amount of credit hours that are awarded to them. And I wanted to say something else that's on this page, but I don't see it currently. But typically your students for IB credit do have to have a 4 or higher. So that is something to keep in mind when they are applying to transfer their IB credit. But great question.
Awesome. It looks like IB programs are pretty popular in Latin America. So that's definitely good to know. Awesome. Do we have any other questions today? No more questions? I'll give one more minute to write in or unmute it for any last questions in case anybody's being shy. Oh, it looks like we lost Courtney. She might have was having some internet issues. She might have got kicked out. Um, but still, if you have any questions, please feel free to write them in. If I can't answer them, I can get them answered by Courtney and send them to you. All right. Well, if we have no other questions here today, then I will just thank you all for being here today. I hope that this presentation by Courtney on Texas State was helpful to you all. We really appreciate you taking the time to learn about Wellspring's newest university offering. So you're able to be the most knowledgeable that you can about it and bring in the most students possible to attend Texas State. So again, thank you so much for being here, and thank you to Courtney. Even though we lost her for a second, I will pass on the thank yous to her. And if they're oh, she's back. Hi, Courtney.
I have returned. Oh my
Nice to
goodness.
see you again. We were
Lovely to be here.
just Yes, we were just um signing off for the most part. So I was actually just thanking you and saying I'll have to pass along everybody's thank yous to Courtney for being with us today to present on Texas State. We really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us and doing your presentation. It was great, and um we just really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for everyone joining us on a Friday, like I mentioned, and we're excited to hopefully welcome your students. Or if you ever get to come to Texas, please feel free to stop by and come see us in person. We would love to welcome you and show you around. So thank you all, and look forward to working with everybody.
Awesome. And if you guys have any questions after the fact, please feel free to reach out to your Wellspring rep, who at the moment is Rich Murphy. He's been in contact with all of you, I anticipate, over the past several weeks. So you should have his contact information. If you don't, then you can reach out to me or anyone else at Wellspring and we can get you in contact. So with that, I think we're all good to sign off, and I hope everybody has an amazing rest of your day. And yeah.
Thank you,
See you guys.
everybody. Have a good weekend.
Bye.